So you want to become a digital nomad? Well, sit your ass down because we're going to go through a non-bullshit step-by-step process and how you can get an online job so you can travel the world and become a digital nomad. Right after this shitty intro. Now, before I get into the actual steps, I think it's important to show you my credibility so I'm not some random YouTube guy that's trying to sell you a course. My name is Mem. I've been solo traveling the world for the past 4 months. I've lived in places like Turkey, Budapest, Poland. I'm in Poland right now, actually. But I work 4 days a week, 30 to 35 hours a week, all remote. I'm a digital marketer for a company in New York. It's based in New York. I got this job a year ago, starting with absolutely nothing. I had no connections. I wasn't a trust fund baby. My family is not rich by any stretch of the imagination. I studied finance, so my degree kind of came in handy, but not really because it was a different field. I got this from scratch. So the reason I say that is if you're in the same boat and you feel like you don't have anything to your name, well, that's exactly how I started. So it is possible. I'm living proof. And if you follow these steps and you really take the time, patience, and commitment to do these, then you'll find yourself in the similar position that I'm in right now, doing your own thing. And that's what I hope to accomplish in this video, is to give you a framework, a step-by-step framework, and how to do the same. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the steps. The first step number 1, is to brainstorm a job niche and see how the job market is for that niche. Now, I'm gonna show you on the screen a few job categories that you can pick from, job industries that you can pick from. So you can pause the video and just pick one. But before I show you that, it's important to pick a job industry that you're somewhat passionate into. All right, so don't pick something just for the sake of money. You frankly won't last. You won't commit to the process. And I know friends that have picked jobs just for the sake of money and they regret it. But let me show you the list and then go ahead and pick. You're not married to it, you can switch it later, no big deal. But the next thing we're gonna do is do some good old-fashioned job searching. That's right. We're going to reverse engineer our way to get the job itself. You do not want to start yourself up in some imaginative mindset where you think you're going to get a job in a year or two or a couple months. No, we're actually going to start with the jobs themselves and work backwards. That's what I did. So I was building myself up in the future exactly for the job that I wanted. So we're going to find jobs on the internet website that are jobs that you want to do in general. It's as simple as that. You're going to pick jobs that you would find yourself doing in 1 to 2 years, and we're going to reverse engineer the required experience to get it. Now, websites that you can use to do this are Indeed.com, Glassdoor, Monster, anything that you want. I used Indeed. They're not paying me to say that. I just like the website, unfortunately. Go ahead and try to find entry-level positions related to that, junior level. Usually those are like 1 to 2 years of experience. That's what I consider junior level. And just see the jobs themselves. Now, if they're a good fit, then congratulations, you finally found your niche. Step number 2 is writing down all the required experience that you need and finding the patterns so you can get a job in your industry. The way to do this is go through this website and find 40 to 50 applications and just start writing down all the required experience from each one. Now, 40 to 50 is important because you can't get the patterns without a lot of applications in your carousel. So that's right, actually go through 40 to 50 of them and just start writing it down. Now, after you get 40 or 50, you'll find similar patterns. You'll find very common patterns. For example, when I was job searching, the 3 common ones I found was Facebook business knowledge, Facebook business advertising knowledge. Second was Google AdWords knowledge, and the third was like some type of photo or video experience, which is really broad. Those are the most popular ones. Those are the ones that every job was asking for at the time. And the same will be for you. In your job niche, usually for the entry-level positions, they're gonna have similar required experience across the whole job market, and you just want to be finding out the specific patterns that you need for that. So once you have 2 to 3 things that are required experience that you need to have, that's the most popular, just in general, you should have that as an entry-level employee in that industry, then we can go on to step number 3. Step number 3, go and do the necessary courses and the workload it takes to get a job in your industry. Now, we know what kind of experience you need. Now, this is the part where you actually go out and get the experience or the required knowledge. Now, this is where most people fail in this whole process because they don't commit hard enough. Now, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. This will take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on how much time and how much life gets in the way. This is a commitment. The only way to do this is to commit and set aside the time every day to practice and learn. Now, this step is pretty big because it's dependent on the industry, but a couple things. You can go to websites like udemy.com, which have certified instructors that are actually like working in the industry that you're working for. And the courses I spent like $15 on a course to learn Google AdWords there. And I used that knowledge to get a certification in Google AdWords later on from Google itself. So it taught me a lot about Google AdWords, but the best thing is I can show that on my resume, hey, I took a course, like I'm the real deal, I have my certification. All for $15 it's amazing. Now, udemy.com is the website. I use that a lot. I recommend going there if you're trying to learn something from scratch like I did. I learned marketing all through like YouTube and Udemy. So just learn the courses. Now, Udemy, the reason I like it so much is because they'll teach anybody it. Even people that have no ounce of knowledge, you can learn programming, digital marketing, copywriting, like no matter what it is, you'll learn it from there. That's where I'd recommend going to first. Now, once you have a base foundation of that knowledge, then the second step is just practicing with that knowledge. For example, in digital marketing, you can set out an ad and see how profitable it is just by what you do to it. So, for example, I would go on Instagram and advertise one of my pictures and just learn how the software itself works. You want to practice around and get really comfortable with learning the software. I think that's the most important part of this whole thing, is just get comfortable with learning the software, whatever it is. Now, once those two things are done, the third part of this would be to actually work for free somewhere. That's what I did. So once I learned all the necessary coursework and I started practicing on my own and I felt comfortable with the software, then I decided to just reach out to companies in the local area and intern for free. I knew I wasn't gonna get a paid job right from the beginning because I didn't have experience. I was just some kid that learned on YouTube and Udemy. Like, no one's gonna take me seriously, right? I knew this. So what I did is prove myself by working for free. I literally told jobs that if I'm not pulling my weight for free, then you can literally just tell me to screw off and I'll go away. No hardship on your end. And that was the deal I made with the company. They actually did pay me. Surprisingly, they paid me very, very low, but I got the experience required. Experience is king for anything that you do. If you don't have experience, then you won't get a job on anywhere. Not even for your friend, not even through Indeed. You need experience. The only way to get that is by working for free for someone. That's the only way that I know of on how to actually build yourself up from scratch if you don't have any ounce of experience. Now, I had that job for about 6 to 7 months. I was also, keep in mind, I was also working two part-time jobs. So I was doing this, I was building my skill set through Udemy courses and YouTube, practicing on my own through Instagram and like learning the software, and through actually working with a company for free, all for the grand scheme of just building my skill set, building my experience. Once all those three things are done, you have those and you have like a good grasp of it, and you can be like, hey, I worked with this company for a couple months. Then you can start applying to those jobs that you looked at 6 months ago, a year ago, and just send in applications. That's the last step, is just to send in a shit ton of applications. I sent in around 300 before I got my one job. That's the last step, is just send in applications and don't feel too bad if like they keep rejecting you. This is a numbers game, right? You need to just keep applying. Don't quit. Send in 2 to 3 applications a day until you finally get a job. It doesn't matter if it takes a year. All you need is one job for you to start this life, and that's what kept me going. I searched for about 3 or 4 months to get this job, and at the end I have it now. So is all that time worth it? Absolutely. I just kept applying. So it took me 300, it might take you 50, it might take you 500, it might take you 1,000, but don't give up, because eventually you will find a job and you will become a digital nomad like the rest of us, if that's what you want to be. Now, again, to reiterate, this took me about a year to do. With all the steps that I showed in this video, it's exactly what I did. I didn't do anything differently. It was just a lot of time and patience and work. Now, I will leave you with one thing. Just schedule this stuff in. Look, consistency and commitment goes a longer way than you think. It's better to do an hour of work every single day than do 10 hours on the weekend. You won't retain this knowledge. And frankly, you're working with people that are very competitive in your industry, and repetition and consistency is how you learn. It's not by absorbing a an obscene amount of material in one day and thinking you can compete with people that have been doing it every day for years upon years. You're playing with the top dogs, and you frankly won't last in your industry if you, like I said, if you're not passionate, willing to learn, willing to put the time in that it takes, especially with your daily life taking up time. This stuff is important. Commitment and consistency. I'd rather you do an hour every single day of learning this stuff than 10 hours on the weekend. So you better enjoy what you pick, because if you don't, then you won't last. That's the reality. Enjoy the process, the journey that it takes to get an online job. This is a lot of work, but it is rewarding, I will tell you that. And if you have any comments, questions, anything you want to ask me specifically, go ahead and send it in the comments, or you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is MemmSolo, the same as my YouTube name. Subscribe, like, clickbait shit, and have a good one.